mathematicians, you got here just in time to help me calculate something. Here's what's up. I helped my neighbor clean out their garage earlier today. They gave me $15 just for showing up and then paid me some amount per hour for each hour that I worked. When I left after 3 hours, they handed me $36. So how much did I get paid for each hour? I could use your help. You know what? Why don't you give this problem a shot on your own first? Try using our steps for writing equations and see what you can find. Pause while you work. Before we solve my problem, let's take a look at a couple of examples. First step, you're cutting strips of paper for an art project. You cut 5 strips to be the same length and one more strip that's 12 inches long. All of the strips together are 52 inches long. How long are each of the identical strips of paper? So, what's the first step here? Yeah, first we need to identify the unknown and make it a variable. What's the unknown in this situation? Well, let me reread the question at the end. Usually that's a clue to what we don't know. How long are each of the identical strips of paper? Ah, I see. We don't know the length of the first 5 pieces of paper. So let's use P for paper. Step 2 is to identify the end value. What's that? Right, 52, because all of the strips of paper combined are 52 inches long. It's a total. Our last step is to determine what operation is happening between the other known value and the variable. But there are 2 other known values. We know that we have 5 strips of paper that will be the same length, and we know there will be one more strip of paper that's 12 inches long. How do you think this might impact our equation? We've already done a lot of work with one-step equations, but it seems like this situation calls for a 2-step equation because there are 2 more known values that are working with the variable. No worries though, we can still follow this 3rd step, but now we'll just have to think about how each of these known values is working with the variable and in what order. What do you think? How does each known value work with the variable? Take a guess in your guided notes. So we have 5 strips of paper, all the same length. How can we combine the number of strips with the length of each of them? By multiplying them. How about the 12? The length of the 12-inch strip is being added to the length of all the other 5 strips combined, because there's just one of them. So after multiplying 5 by p, we'll add 12. All together then, we have 5p plus 12 equals 52. Oh, hey, we've seen equations like this one before. It's a 2-step equation. It represents 5 strips of the same length, p, plus one more strip that measures 12 inches, making 52 inches of paper in total. You could also write it as 12 plus 5p equals 52. It's all up to you. As long as the 5 is multiplied by the variable and the 12 is added separately to make 52, either order works. Now that we've written our equation, let's solve it to answer the original question. Pause and come back to check your answer. Okay, what term should we undo first here? Yep, 12, because it's farther from the variable. Subtracting 12 on both sides gives us 5p equals 40. Then, dividing by 5 on both sides gives us p equals 8. You checked your solution too, right? Of course you did. Everything looks good there, so we have our solution. But we're not done until we fully answer the question. What does p equals 8 mean here? That's right. Each of the identical strips of paper is 8 inches long. That didn't seem much more complicated than a 1-step equation. Let's try another one. Example 2, a rideshare app charges customers 75 cents for each mile driven, as well as a $10 flat fee. If you paid $23.50 for a ride, how many miles did you travel? Give it a shot. Pause and try writing the equation using our steps. Here's what I wrote. 0.75 m plus 10 equals 23.50. M represents the number of miles traveled, which is the unknown. 23.50 is the total cost, so that goes by itself on one side of the equal sign. Why did I use 0.75 instead of just 75? Well, the rest of the money values are in terms of dollars, not cents, so I wanted to make sure it's written in the same format. $0.75 is 75 cents, just formatted a bit differently. How do we know that 0.75 is being multiplied by m and 10 is being added? If you weren't sure, one way of thinking about it is to ask yourself which value is only happening once and which one is being repeated. In this case, the cost per mile gets added to the total over and over again for each mile driven. So we use multiplication to represent that repetition. But the flat $10 fee is only added to the total once. If you need to make any changes to your equation, do that in your guided notes. Then go ahead and solve it. Go ahead and check your work. Make sure you've put your solution back into context. M equals 18 means that you traveled 18 miles. All right, I think we're ready to figure out the answer to my problem now. Here it is again. Pause while you write an equation to represent the situation, and then solve it. Check your equation. I used D as my variable to represent dollars, which is the unknown value. 36 is the end value because I walked away with $36 at the end of helping my neighbor. The 3 is being multiplied by the variable because I got paid the same amount for each hour, and that amount was repeated each time I worked another hour. But I only got that $15 once, so we add 15 to 3D. If you wrote it as 15 plus 3D instead of 3D plus 15, that's right too. Feel free to pause if you need to make any adjustments to your equation. Now, check your work and your solution. My neighbor paid me $7 an hour. I'm so glad that's not a mystery anymore. Thanks for your help. It's nice to be able to solve even more real-world problems now that we know how to turn them into two-step equations. Make sure you finish the guided notes and complete levels 1 through 3 of the online practice. Until next time, keep questioning, keep calculating, and remember, when you have two known values working with the variable, it's helpful to ask yourself which one is being repeated and which one only happens once. See you next time. Hey.